Good afternoon, man. Welcome back. It's Rocklahoma 2023. God, hard to believe we're this far into Rocklahoma. Anyway, it's Muttley. It's Rock Rage Radio. My glasses are stuck. I don't need those on. And I'm here with the guys from Dead Poet Society. How the hell are you guys?
We're doing pretty good.
What's up, Rock Rage?
Oh my gosh, it's hot.
Yeah.
I said I wasn't going to say it anymore. It sounds like a broken record. It's so terrible to sit here and talk about.
What is there other than that to talk about today?
I know.
It's hot.
Exactly. But you know what? Hey, look, it's a rock festival. That's what you talk about. You know what I mean? It's going to be hot. It's that time of the year. But
hot one, isn't it?
Yeah. So I mean, what have you guys been up to? So I was kind of browsing the internet looking to see, and it's been a minute, right, since you guys have kind of put out some stuff, and so you guys are out doing it now, and so what's happening? Give us a rundown.
So it's been 2 years, a little over 2 years since we put out our last album, and we have a whole nother thing coming. So we're starting that process. We're releasing a song September 7th called Running in Circles.
Nice.
And I'm excited for it. This whole new batch of songs that we have is, in I think, our opinion, the best stuff we've written.
Really?
And we're super proud of it. So, yeah, we're ready to get it out.
So, I mean, did you just guys take a hiatus? Is it the business? Is it the...
Well, honestly, we were just still kind of touring and promoting the last record and taking what touring opportunities we could.
Right.
We went to Europe a bunch. We had the opportunity to tour with one of our favorite bands, Highly Suspect.
Right.
And
great band, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're blessed for that. And then we came into the situation where, like, oh no, we have like 7 songs still to write. So
yeah. It takes us a minute to write music.
Right.
Yeah.
And I like to ask guys this because it's, because the music business, it is so different now.
Yeah.
And how do you guys go about navigating it, or how are you looking at it, as far as when you're looking at an album or an EP or releasing a single into the social media world? And I mean, how do you guys, have you guys thought about that? How you approach it? What you're looking at?
We have thought about it. I think that probably for the next album wouldn't wait as long to start putting out singles as we did. But at the same time, we've seen other bands put out albums like a year after they put out another album.
Right.
And it's just kind of a little bit shocking. Like there wasn't enough time to build up that hype for that album in a way, because you still... like, you ever look at an album and you're like, oh my God, that came out 5 years ago?
Right.
Like, you're like shocked.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So you kind of like wait for that kind of sweet spot where people are like, what are they doing? Are they putting out another album? And then you hit them then. Yeah. And I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. I agree with that. And there's different, because I remember, way back, if you go way back, it seemed like artists, this is going way back. There wasn't uncommon for artists to release albums every 6 months.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, you would see that. And this is going way back, even pre my time in radio and all that.
Yeah.
Now, obviously not even attainable today because obviously, as we know, the budgets and what it costs now, and nobody buys albums anymore, and so there's just no way that could even happen now. But I think you're right. I think now if you do it right, you could take an album and stretch that up easily into a couple of years.
Yeah.
If you're releasing things, if you don't go by the philosophy sometimes where you get into a label situation where they sit down like, okay guys, here are the 5 songs we're going to release over this period of time, and they don't deviate from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then if the 3 singles don't do anything, then they're done.
Yeah.
And so I know that's a common thing, but I think if you stick with it and you let that thing breathe, and you do, and I think that's kind of what, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of what you were kind of getting at.
Yeah, it's quality over quantity. You
know?
That was a big kind of struggle for us mentally. Was like, this is our second album. Like this is kind of set the precedent for what's coming, and like it's hard to wrestle with, like before we put out our first album, we had some fans, but nobody really knew who we were, and still, not a lot of people do, but we do have a lot of fans now.
Right.
And so, you want to make sure that the next album you put out comes out in a reasonable amount of time.
Right.
But also, you don't want to rush it. because if you rush it, the songs aren't going to be as good.
Right.
You're like pumping out songs. I think this is good, and I think with us, we're so opinionated. All 4 people in the band are so opinionated that it's like we can't let a song go until everybody in the band thoroughly loves it.
Yeah, and I think if you're that band, and I mean everybody has to be on that same page. You want to create something that everybody's happy with. I mean, obviously there are those bands. It's like you've got the one creative guy who writes, you've got the one guy who does all the music, and then that works, and then the other guys are just there.
That's probably a faster process,
right? Yeah. But I think if your process is not that, and then you've got one guy who maybe was okay, that's fine, we'll do it. But that's not the dynamic of the band.
No.
That is going to all fall apart.
Yeah.
And then your fans are going to see that if they're because there are bands that fans are very loyal to. Mm-hmm. And if they hear something that's not, I'm mirroring what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Sure.
And then they're going to go, that's not Dead Poet Society. That's not what I wanted from that band.
Yeah.
And so, you want to keep those fans, but in turn build new fans. So,
Yeah.
It's I think it was Bruce Springsteen that said, what did he say? It was like,
ask not what your country can. Oh.
No, he said it doesn't matter how fast you put out an album if it's bad.
Right.
It was like,
no, I mean, you're right.
Yeah, nobody cares if you put out a bad album in 6 months.
Right.
Like, because, you can take your time with it.
You can wait and put out an album, and people will forget about you if it's bad, so it's and the industry is so, I don't know, it's I could go on about the industry.
I love the industry.
Do you really? You love it? Wow, I love. You're the first person I have ever met in a band who loves the industry.
Everyone is lying. The industry is good.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that's a conversation go forever. I mean, I've known so many guys in bands, and it's such a tough industry, and you have to know how to navigate yourself. Unfortunately, in a lot of cases, the industry has become something now that is, in some cases, a necessary evil. If you're wanting to, say, get on a Rocklahoma without maybe buying onto a Rocklahoma, or those kinds of things. Yeah. But
in all fairness, I think it's the people you know within it that you work with.
Yeah.
They're great. It's the people that you don't know that don't know you that. It's the inevitable. It's like,
Right.
Who are these guys? Yeah. You're just a passing thought, and I think that's what kind of like perpetuates that idea.
Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people that I know, a lot of people at management groups like Indigo. There's a lot of people I know that are very good people, and they're still rock-minded people, and they still love the bands that they work with, and they still promote those bands. Mm-hmm. Then there are those that I swear to God they don't know anything about music. Yeah. So that's and I don't want to get into that. We could be in this conversation all day long.
I think it's just a matter of like you gotta trust the people that you work with.
Exactly.
And it's hard to find those people, but when you find them,
so you're saying gold. So you've got new stuff in the works. When is it that you were kind of thinking about maybe it coming to fruition?
We're starting to roll things out the 7th.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a fair thing to just say overall.
Yeah, I think fair thing to say is that the 7th is when it all starts.
So we'll start seeing things bubbling up.
Yes.
Around the 7th. Okay. Yeah. Are we going to watch the socials for all that, or is it just going to go bam?
It's going to be a
little bang, little pop.
Bang, little pop. Little this, little that.
Oh my God, that's awesome, guys! I appreciate you hanging out, dude.
Yeah, thank you, man.
It's been awesome. I'm sorry I didn't make it over there. I've been over here sweating.
Likewise.
That's okay. You got to sweat.
Yeah, you got to sweat.
You got to sweat.
Hey, before we go, I got to ask you guys a question. I love asking guys a question. Before you guys were, in bands and started to make it a career, or even before that, and I'll give you what my answer is. What show or concert did you guys go to that really sort of had an impact that made you look at it and go, maybe that's what I want to do? For me, it was, I wasn't a musician, but later I became a radio guy, like way later. But for me, I went to see, it was the Bark at the Moon, Shout at the Devil tour. I've just dated myself, and it was at that point I'm like, kind of opened up a whole nother realm, and I was listening to music I grew up, but I was like, I've got to be a part of this somehow. What was the show, or what? It doesn't even have to be a rock show, because I've asked this question and I've had people say things that what was that? If there was anything where you just like, Yeah, this is some. I mean, this is, you know.
I would say my first show that I saw that really got me wanting to see or be in a band really was Blink-182. My mom took me when I was pretty young. But really, what started it was even before that. I saw a Linkin Park music video. I think it was, what's the one?
Oh, In the End?
Yeah, In the End.
In the End.
At the very end where it starts raining, and I saw the drummer hit the cymbals with the water on it.
Yeah.
I was like, that is the coolest thing in the world. I want to do that. I want to do just the water hitting on the cymbals. That's it. And then from then on out, it was just that. It's just what I was obsessed with.
So then, this was this is every show. Then what you should do is have some. So what's yours? What?
So I think when I was like 12, 13, I was starting to play guitar. It was like when John Mayer did his old trio thing, and I was like. I remember watching the Where the Light Is live album. I've probably seen that album maybe 40, 50
John opening for John.
Exactly.
Fantastic album. Fantastic album.
I just remember looking at that being like, oh my God. Like, what? Like, that is the sickest thing ever. And I think from then on I was like, I'm gonna be John Mayer. And then you know,
incredible guitarist.
Yeah.
I mean, I think every single guy that plays guitar in my generation wanted to be John Mayer.
That trio, everyone, when we were going to school, it was Pino Palladino, Steve Jordan, John Mayer. That is the pinnacle.
That's the pinnacle.
Well, John, I mean, he is an incredible guitarist, incredible musician.
Oh, he's insane.
Just incredible.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, prodigal.
Even if like John Mayer music isn't your thing, just to watch him play guitar is phenomenal.
Like, you can't look away.
You can't,
So, that was it for me.
Awesome. Yeah. I love asking that question because it takes people back to a time before they're, you know, up on a stage or they're doing a thing. So I love that. So, guys, Dead Poet Society, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Back to it. Rock Rage Radio.